The Oilers wrapped up a rough road trip with their best game of the season with a team that looked much more like the team we expected them to be this season. Can they build off that win over the Capitals and start to gain some ground in the West? We get you set for the Oilers and Ducks on the Oil Stream, a pregame show. Matt Iwanyk with you here tonight as Tom Gazzola. He's got Bozone Live duties. Just 3 more episodes left for his season of Tom being the host of a hunting show for Season 4. So I will be filling in for the next couple of games, actually next 3 games for the Oil Stream pregame show. Dustin Nielsen, he will have the post-game for you tonight, Tuesday, and Thursday. And if you've never heard Dusty do a post-game show, if you were tuned in last week when the Oilers lost to the Hurricanes, you would have saw some fire out of him. If you haven't seen him on it, you're going to want to check it out, win or lose. When it's a loss, Dusty just likes to go off. It's great. If the Oilers win, well, here's the fun part about tonight. Dustin Nielsen has never hosted an Edmonton Oilers pre- and post-game show, even back at 1260. When him and I were discussing about what we were going to do with no Tommy here, he's like, yeah, I've never hosted pre or post. So here's now a chance for Dustin Nielsen to post. But before we do that, we got to watch a game tonight, and it is the Oilers taking on the Ducks. As I said, I am Matt Iwanyk, alongside YouTube Trev as well. He'll be part of the show moving forward tonight as well. We'll hear from him and his thoughts. We'll hear from Matt Kassian, our in-game analyst, a little bit later in the show as well. As plus, we'll go inside the Oilers locker room. We'll hear from head coach Chris Noblock. We'll hear from Connor McDavid, as well as I believe it's Ryan McLeod. We will hear from the Edmonton Oilers. They are 6-12-1 on the season, while the Anaheim Ducks are 9-11. The Oilers lines for tonight based from the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid in between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman, Draisaitl centering Kane and Brown. McLeod in between Fogle and Ryan, while the fourth line has Hamblin centering Matthias Janmark and Adam Ernie. Defensively, Darnell Nurse take it with Cody Ceci, Matthias Ekholm paired up with Evan Bouchard, and Brett Kulak with Vincent Desharnais. While the Anaheim Ducks, some of their top 4s, their top 6 features Carlson in between Killorn and Terry, with McTavish in between Vetrano and Stroman leading their defense. It's Cam Fowler alongside Jackson Lacombe. Your starting goalies for tonight for the Edmonton Oilers, it looks like it will be a Stuart Skinner. He's 5-7-1 on the season, a .337 goals allowed average, an .875 save percentage, and 1 shutout on the season. That did come on Friday against the Capitals. Well, it's unconfirmed right now, but it's expected that we'll see John Gibson tonight for the Ducks. He's 4-8 on the season, .914 save percentage, 2.64 goals allowed average. But when the Ducks do take to the ice, if we see something different, we will definitely pass it along to you. Your thoughts always welcome. 780-218-9999. That is the Parish Jewelers inbox, or you can also jump into the nasty chat for those of you watching on YouTube. Our question of the night as well for today: did Friday's game feel like a turning point in this season for you? It was a difficult road trip. The Oilers losing their first 3. I think most people expected that was a road trip. The Oilers needed 5-6 points. Didn't get that. They got 2. But they got it at the very last game of it, and they looked very good doing so. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that was a turning point in this season for the Edmonton Oilers? Or this is something I'll throw Cass's way as well a little bit later when we bring him on. At what point do you feel like you'd be confident to say the Edmonton Oilers are back? How many wins is that? Or how many straight games of solid performances do you need to see? Obviously, it's not going to be just after the Capitals game. You're going to sit there and be like, the Edmonton Oilers are back. Here we go, back on the Stanley Cup bandwagon. Let's plan the parade. I don't think anyone's really there just yet, but how many games is it going to take for you to feel comfortable to say that? Now, you got to take it a game at a time. Here's the next game. It is the Anaheim Ducks, but if the Oilers could keep playing like they did on Friday, they will pick up some ground quite nicely in the West to get into a playoff spot. With that, I will bring in to the show Mr. YouTube Trev, who... yeah, there's enough light on that one. There he is, YouTube Trev on the camera with us here. Trev, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Matty. Having a lot of fun. This is going to be a great show. You're doing what a great intro. You say you're going to be rusty. No, that was great. Well, so definitely kudos to you. You're absolutely crushing it.
Well, thank you. I'll give you it's $20 a little bit later for that. Yeah. No, it's like Dusty's never done a post game. I've never done an Oilers pregame. Dusty and I used to actually do an Elks pre-post game show at 1260. Together. But I've only also done back at 1260 Elks. I've never done an Oilers pre or post. There was always had someone else doing them. So for me, this is also my first time having to do something. But that's what we got here at Edmonton Sports Talk. We got that now, and show the people the nice stash here. It's November 26th, Movember coming up. Get that stash right in the camera there, so people can see.
It's still a work in progress. Got a few days left. It's definitely staying over November, though, for sure. Just looking at it. Oh gosh. Yeah. Last year I was able to curl it pretty. Yeah, it grew pretty good. Not gonna lie.
I will say this: if the Oilers start rattling off a few victories here, you definitely can't shave that off until they lose.
Absolutely no. And you know me, I'm pretty superstitious.
Yes.
The last game they won when I sat on the right side of the couch, so I'm going to be sitting on the right side of the couch again tonight.
Brett B saying, YouTube Trev's muzzy in fine form.
Oh, wow. Oily
sink. JBC Trev, cheeseburger Trev. How are you feeling after those junior bacon cheeseburgers?
Yeah, I felt pretty good. Not going to lie, like as soon as I got home, I was in pretty rough shape, but I played hockey with Tommy later in the night, and as soon as I got the legs going, I was feeling fine. I burnt all of it off, so yeah, that was great. But I was so full. Like I went home and we had pizza at home, and they're like, "Oh, my roommates are like, you want some?" I'm like, "No, I just downed like 6 JBCs. I'm good, thank you." They're like, "What happened?" And so yeah, that was a lot of fun. Eric just kept giving them to me, and I wasn't gonna say no. Well, I feel bad, right?
You can say no. Like that's the thing.
I didn't want to disappoint the people.
Well, you could go that way too, but do know you can say no sometimes. Yeah. It would be okay. Question of the night that I had there for you and for everyone out there: do you feel more comfortable with this Oiler team? Do you feel like that was a turning point on Friday? What did you feel after that game on Friday?
It's a step in the right direction, absolutely. The Washington Capitals, they are doing surprisingly well, albeit you look at their roster, you're kind of surprised by it. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but in their last 10 games, they're 7-2-1, so that's pretty respectable. And it's definitely a step in the right direction. But you can't just like go off like on that one game, which the Oilers tend to do sometimes. They get their confidence like a little too high. That's why it worries me tonight. They're playing the Anaheim Ducks. I feel like they might be like, oh, it's the Ducks. Like they might just expect a win out of this because it is a little bit of a lesser team compared to the Washington Capitals. So, they just gotta, it's one game at a time. It was nice. That was definitely their most complete 60 all season, 100%. Whether it was the power play, that was the best power play performance of the season. Connor McDavid's best performance of the season, 4 apples for him. Leon Draisaitl, 2 goals, just all around, and then haven't even mentioned Stuart Skinner with the shutout. So, when the team plays good defense in front of Stu plays good. And it's
crazy how's that work.
Yeah, right? And so as far as the whole goaltending, it's no, as long as the team plays decent defense in front of them, Stu's going to put up decent numbers. And so here's hoping they can do that again. I went to 2 games last season, and both games were against the Anaheim Ducks. The first game was a matinee in December. And
it was awful.
And it was awful.
It was a terrible hockey game.
It was so embarrassing. Yeah, it was absolutely.
It was one of those, I had a party I was going to after that, and I got a ride with some buddies, and we're talking. They're like, imagine you're that person from out of town who paid money to come to see the Oilers because this is a matinee, so it's an easier one to get to. I was like, that was the performance they gave you. That was a bad performance. It
was pathetic. So there was that game I went to, and you're expecting a big game. You're expecting the Oilers to just dummy the Anaheim Ducks. So you look at their roster, and especially last year, the Ducks were one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the whole NHL, right? So and then I went to a game against the Ducks. It was I think it was February or March. They ended up clinching the playoff spot that game, and they won 7-2, I think. Leon Draisaitl got his 50th of the season, and that was a fun game. So it's you don't know which Oilers team is going to come out. Sometimes they're we know, or the boys are just they just have a hard time just, I don't know, bringing it, and they feel like they're going to be handed a win easily, and so that's why I'm a little worried when they play the lesser teams like the Anaheim Ducks, and they did start strong. They had a 6-game win streak earlier in the season for the Ducks, but since then they have fallen quite a bit. So realistically, the Oilers should win this game. Will they? I don't know, but as far as your question goes, yeah, it was a step in the right direction. Is it a turning point? I don't know, but easily the most complete performance for the whole team.
Like, where I will be very intrigued by tonight, especially it's this first period for the Edmonton Oilers, is seeing how they produce. Because the one game early this season, it was game 3, actually. They took on the Predators. And we thought, okay, the Oilers, bad start, 2 losses to the Canucks. This is the game to turn things around. This is the game that we know that the Oilers own the Preds. We know Leon owns the Preds, and they did that.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, now they're back. This is okay.
Exactly.
They just need to shake that rust off, and now this is the team. They went out to Philly, and what happened?
Yeah.
Very poor performance. And it's like, does this team just buy into their own headlines? And what is that mindset this team has? Because we've seen it this year where, we're like, oh, okay, they have that game. They're back. Yeah. Now they just got to start pulling it together game in, game out, and they don't do it. Yeah. And so is that what we're going to see again from this team? Are they going to look at the Ducks and think of them as the Ducks from last year and overlook this game? Or are they going to recognize their mistakes from earlier this year and go, okay, every team is, for the most part, every team almost is above them in the standings.
Yeah,
Every team is going to be a challenge. Every team's going to be difficult. Every team circles the Edmonton Oilers on the calendar because they were preseason cup favorites, because they have Connor and Leon. You're going to get every team's fastball, as Jax Cookson from Pro-Am said on the Hangout a few weeks ago. Are they going to be ready to try to handle that, or are they just going to come into this game going, we're good. Yeah. We're back, and that's the concern. So I think it's that first 20 minutes tonight that is really going to determine what are these Oilers. Are they looking at that game on Friday going, okay, we could get this back going. We can get, it's not much to get back into the playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers.
No, it's
when you
not.
look at it. They're the Pacific Division is going to be difficult. The Canucks, Kings, and Golden Knights, 29, 29, 30 points respectively. The Kraken right now sit in the final wildcard spot with 21 points in 22 games, so the Oilers have some games in hand there. They're at 13 points, so it's an 8-game difference. There's a lot of hockey still to be played to make up 8 points.
Yeah.
But they have to go out and show that they want to make up those points and go out and show that they want to work hard every single game. And that's why this is going to be a big one, because there's also that game that's coming up on Tuesday that's very important. It's the division-leading Golden Knights coming to town.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Right? And so you can't go into that one. You can't already be looking to head to that one.
No.
You can't be just thinking, it's a division. You just can't allow that game to creep in. And also, if you lose this one, now you got the Golden Knights coming to town. How are you going to feel if you're going to go into that one, right?
Yeah.
So this is a big game for them if they're really going to want to turn this around. And I hope that's what we see from this team tonight. And I hope they have that in going to them, that we can't keep making the same mistakes we have this year.
Yeah.
And so it'll be intriguing to see how the Edmonton Oilers do come out to start this game. It's also, I'll say, 7 o'clock on a Sunday, really?
Yeah, this is the first time
we
I
need
work
hockey.
Sunday. Yeah, I don't know, it's weird.
A few years ago, the Oilers had a lot of 8 o'clock on Sundays, which really sucked.
Brutal.
But we couldn't go 5 o'clock or something?
Yeah. What's going on? Nothing right now.
In the NHL, just quickly, there was 5 games on the schedule tonight. 3 games already final. Red Wings defeating the Wild 4-1. Blues getting past the Blackhawks 4-2, while the Hurricanes defeated the Blue Jackets 3-2. At 6 o'clock, the Jets take on the Predators, while at 7 o'clock, it is the Ducks and the Oilers. In the nasty chat, Pat Maroon's bib does say Gibson. The guy loves being in the crease against the Oilers. 971 with a 317 GAA and a 903 save percentage. Those actually aren't that great of numbers. The way I'm going to have to double check those, because if you're telling me that Gibson is 973 with a 317 goals allowed average and a 903 save percentage, I'm assuming Pat Maroon's bib is being facetious there, because that's good for the Edmonton Oilers. This guy doesn't play well against the Edmonton Oilers if I'm seeing a 903 save percentage.
Yeah, no. That's those are really real nice numbers.
I'm going to have to quickly just pull this one up. If I can do this quickly. Splits, career, John Gibson against the Edmonton Oilers, 973, 903 save percentage, and a 317 goals allowed average. So, yeah, you're not going up against the goalie that has that history of goaling you. So that we'll see if the Oilers can take advantage of that as well. the Oilers have a really good record over the last couple of years against the Ducks, taking away that game that you mentioned. They're 6-1 against the Ducks in the last 2 seasons. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They also like to score against the Anaheim Ducks. Connor, 12 goals, 29 assists for 39 points in 24 career games against the Ducks, while in 29 career games, Leon Draisaitl has 21 goals, 16 assists for 34 points.
Wow, that's impressive.
Brent B, need to see a stretch of 20 games where they're consistently playing with effort. Also looking to see if they sag tonight, if anything goes wrong, or if they can rebound from that. And yeah, that's the point. Like, that's what I think is going to be the most important thing for me tonight when it comes to this team, is just, can you consistently keep showing that effort? Like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer going into this game, but look, they did lose 3 of 4 on that road trip. Yeah. And because they won the last game, it's recency bias. We look there and go, they played this great game. That's awesome. But they also only picked up 2 points out of 8 when I think most people would have went, they need 5 or 6 points. And I think even before that road trip, I lowered it to, like, okay, 4. Going 2-2 maybe is okay. They ultimately only did pick up the 1. So it's about finding that consistency, and can they do it?
Yeah. And I think that's where the frustration sets in for a lot of Oilers fans. It's because, you do see glimpses of it, and that was as good of an example, the win that they had on Friday. Like, that's encouraging, right? There was a dominating win. And in all aspects of the game, they were clearly the better team. And then so it's like, yeah, wow, this is great. They look so good. Why can't they do this all the time? And like, that's where it sets in. That's why it's like, and is it, they're just outcompeted, outbattled? Like, it's frustrating. Is it puck luck? I don't know. But for whatever reason, everything was working for them on Friday. And they should be able to, the carryover should be there tonight. I don't see why it wouldn't be. And if they drop the ball, man, it's going to look so bad.
The Ducks aren't a daunting task.
No, it's
right?
not.
They've lost 5 in a row, too.
Yeah.
This is a game that you're back home after this road trip. You're back home after feeling good. This is a situation that's set up quite nicely for the Edmonton Oilers. And it's weird to try to go that way, because how many times over this season have we went, this is set up for the Edmonton Oilers, and they haven't produced.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that you do have to take quite a bit of confidence coming from Friday, because of how, like, it was so good that Dustin Nielsen called shutout many times.
Yeah.
With 6 minutes to go in the second period. He was saying shutout many times on our watch along, and, it really didn't get tested much. No. There was the one goal that got called back because of a quick face-off, but outside of the Capitals really didn't have much going, because the Oilers played a strong team game.
Yeah.
They had a great defensive play, and as you've already pointed out, Trev, like, they gave that above average team defense, and it allowed Stuart Skinnerton to be confident in his net, not having to make these massive saves, and we got a really good game from him because he got a shutout.
Yeah. So it's not intimidating at all, just looking at the lineups for the Ducks. Like, it's going to be cool to see Leo Carlsson. I've been watching him a little bit this year, drafted 3rd overall last season, and so he's a bright up and coming player for them. Mason McTavish as well. So I don't mind, they're going to be an okay team down the road, but then they started strong this season. I knew, and I feel like a lot of people knew, that's just sometimes some teams start hot, but their true colors begin to show. So it's not a daunting task at all. The Oilers should be able to win tonight if they play just like they did against the Washington Capitals. So that's my thoughts.
Well, they play like they did against the Washington Capitals. They are legit that team that we were talking about at the beginning of this season, a cup contender.
Yeah,
it's that simple. That was the game that we saw where it's like, this is an Oiler team that we expected this season. This is the team. That's the game. If we have to show a footage of this season and go, why did everyone pick the Oilers to be cup favorites? Why did, when you have the picks from sports and then like over half of them say the Edmonton Oilers, why did Greg Wyshynski of ESPN pick the Edmonton Oilers? That's the game you point to. It's like they have it in them. There it is. That's this team at its best almost. And so keep playing that way. And like it's not even like that was a one-off game where you just like everything went right for the Edmonton Oilers. They got lucky in that one. No, that was just them playing well. Did they have a couple of breaks in that game? Sure. But for the most part, the majority of that game, you just look at it and go, the Oilers played a solid hockey game. And that's all I think people want. And that's the frustrating part of where this season is that they have it in them.
Yeah,
this isn't there's the flaws of this team that we can all point to, and yes, there was a lot of problems with this team that we could point to through this time, but we also know that when they choose to show up and put that effort in, which is the most important thing to me, that's largely more important than the skill, because everyone in the National Hockey League is relatively skillful. Now, there's a couple of players that are obviously way better than others, like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. When they take over a game, but for the rest of the lineup, that hard work will always overcome skill.
Yes.
And they just haven't been giving us that hard work consistently this season.
No, not at all.
That's all they have to go do. When it does come to the Anaheim Ducks tonight, though, this is going to be a good team in the future. This is a team on the rise when it comes to these Ducks. And, Mason McTavish, great player. This is a good young hockey team.
Yeah.
And they got off to that strong start. Looks like that they're falling off the cliff now. We'll see what they can do the rest of the season. But, this will be a team that will be a problem in the Pacific Division moving forward in future years. And the Pacific Division, just if it goes the way it probably should over the next little while, if the Golden Knights stay where they are, the Kings are going to stay good. If the Canucks could keep going with where they are, if the Ducks can get up there eventually and the Oilers become the Oilers, that's 5 of your 8 teams are just really, really strong. And I didn't even throw in the Kraken, who are right now actually sitting on a playoff spot.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's looking great for Pacific Division hockey for the last, you could say, 5 years. They've kind of been the laughingstock, and I hate that.
Well, it was 2 years ago. Everyone's like, the Oilers only did well because
of this.
The division was crap and all that, and they weren't that good.
Yeah.
Well, you got the cup winner from the division last year.
Exactly.
And you got some really good hockey teams that are taking
charge.
And that's just, it is going to be a difficult division moving forward, which isn't good for the Edmonton Oilers.
It's not good.
It makes things more challenging. But at the flip side, if it is a tougher division, maybe it means you're playoff ready a little sooner.
Yeah, that's how you build winners, no? Having super competitive divisions, playing those rivalries the whole season, battle efforts, every game, don't you think?
Well,
does that correlate?
There's the two sides to that. One, there's those that will say yes.
Yeah.
But then there's others that will say that you get too tired too soon.
Yeah.
It's in football, a lot of people rip Tom Brady and the New England Patriots by saying they had a poor division. That's the only reason one of the reasons they were really good was they had a bad division. So they didn't have to play hard during the regular season because they knew they were going to pick up their 6 wins in their division, and they only had to show up come January. So there is that part of it as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think that everyone's going to have their own take on it.
Yeah, there's no right answer.
I think it's more beneficial, though.
Yeah.
I think when you want to be ready for the tough games of April and May, you'll have wanted to have gone through some more tough games throughout the course of your season as opposed to skate through it, not really get tested, and then all of a sudden when you have to be tested, not be ready for it.
For sure.
That's just my take on it. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Thanks for everyone who's tuning in on our YouTube channel. Everyone also listening to EdmontonSportsTalk.com or on TuneIn. Smash that thumbs up button and also subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 6,000 by the end of this month.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Just over 50. 54 subscriptions left. That's it.
Go on.
We need 54 people to subscribe by the end of this month, and we'll be very happy. So if you're one of those people that are watching us on YouTube right now and have not subscribed to us, just please click that subscribe button. We would really appreciate your thoughts. Welcome. 780-218-9999 is the Paris Jewelers inbox, or you could jump into the Nasty Chat on YouTube. James saying the reason the Oilers can't play a full 60, everything is simply because they choose not to. Evil Twin Oilers are on their second longest winning streak this season, heating up. Let's go. And was that the robot, Trev?
I don't know what it was. I'm just happy. I'm just pumped. Maybe it was. Sure. Let's say it was. Yes.
Bison Mask Guy. Good to hear from you, Bison Mask Guy. Maddie, what does Mr. Lean have cooking over on Cool Bets? Actually, I haven't really looked at this game too much. For anyone that is looking at tonight, the Oilers clear favorites in this one, minus 292 on the money line. Over 6.5, minus 132. Unders, plus 113. The Oilers on the spread is minus 1.5 goals at minus 114. If you're looking for some player props, both Connor and Leon to score are minus money. Connor McDavid minus 123. Leon minus 113. If you're looking at points, Actually, you want to know if I was going for a lean tonight? I know this isn't the morning show. I know this isn't the cool bet hotline of the day, but if you're looking for some sort of lean, Leon Draisaitl over 2 points, 2 points or more, it's plus 100.
I could see it happen.
If the Oilers scoring a few goals tonight, I could see Leon getting, a goal and assist tonight. 2 points. So over 1.5 points, Leon Draisaitl plus 100. I don't mind that one. I don't mind that one at all.
I know it's just one game to get the power play. Like the last game, the power play was clicking. Sometimes all it takes is one game, So that could carry over. I don't know what their penalty kill is. I can't imagine it's anything crazy. But when the penalty kill or when the power play, Oilers power play, we all knew it was. Well, at least I thought it was. It's obviously it was the most historic power play ever. Yeah. And there's no way that it was going to be like that. So I could see the first time they played each other this season. I could see the power play clicking tonight.
Does Connor Brown have any more plays drawn up for the boys?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because for anyone that missed it, because they brought it up at the end of the Leon said it with Gene at the end of the broadcast, and I know you guys brought it up on the post-game show as well. On that one power play goal, you saw Connor and Leon point to the bench. And when we were doing our watch-along, we thought maybe it's Glenn Gulletson. Mm-hmm. Is that who he's pointing at? It was actually Connor Brown because he drew up the play in juniors. So, hey, Connor Brown coming here, because of his connection to the juniors with McDavid, worked for a goal at least. He didn't get credited with the goal. It doesn't go on his stat line, but at least he helped the Edmonton Oilers score a goal in that hockey game. But that's what happens. So maybe he's
just on the bench tonight with the suit.
Maybe he's helping Gulletson now.
Yeah,
just with the PP. I'll drop some plays for you, Coach. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'll earn my 3.25 somehow for the Edmonton Oilers.
I got a few plays.
Oh, that's still. I
was drawing them up on Shell last night.
Were you?
Oh no, Brown.
Oh, him.
Probably,
I still can't believe that he played that 10th game. I'm not gonna lie. Also, I just got to quickly mention this because I have no idea how this happened. But one of our listeners, Savage the Plumber, he tweeted 2 4-packs of the 6 o'clocker lager. He's got it.
Where did that come from? I seen that too, and I'm like,
we're having our launch party Wednesday at Alley Cat. It's 4 to 7. More than welcome to come. And then I think it's the 30th. It starts going out in stores. I'm guessing a store accidentally put it out early, or the store had it in stock in the back, and Savage the Palmer convinced someone to give him secrets. A couple of packs early. But he's got them, and I was not expecting that when I got in today into the studio.
Yeah.
Opened up Twitter, and all of a sudden I saw him with that.
It's like, that's our beer. How'd you get our beer?
We don't even have any more, I think.
Yeah, no, we don't. We're out. So that's super impressive. If you want to tell us your secrets, let us know.
But yeah, keep your eyes out. Sobeys and at Safeway liquor stores. The 6 o'clocker lager coming out very, very soon. Just speaking on the Connor Brown, VR Montenegro, would that be a 4th assist from the bench for Brown? Well, that's the thing. Like, he gets, I'll credit him for an assist this year. I'll give him credit for an assist this year. It doesn't show up on the stat line, but he drew up the play and it worked out, so I'll give him that one credit. He's still got a long way to go to make up for his contract, though, with this team. And Dustin with a Y, maybe he's the future coach. Maybe that's just maybe that's his plan long term. Maybe that's his plan long term. Also, I should also mention, just when it does come to the Oilers in long term future and looking at this team, for anyone that didn't see the headlines from yesterday on Hockey Night in Canada, I forgot what they call it. Elliot Friedman reporting that because there had been some reports Dave Gagne was potentially in the running to be the next general manager for the Edmonton Oilers. He doesn't want that, so he's not going to be the next GM. So you could take his name out of the hat for the general manager position of the Edmonton Oilers moving forward. Even though the Oilers picked up the win against the Caps on Friday, and I'll even just say, let's say the Oilers still go rattle off a bunch of straight wins, I think that's the number one thing this team really needs to get locked down moving forward. It's not the on-ice part. It's you've got to get the right GM in place. Or I shouldn't even say right GM in place. That's just natural. You need to get that sorted out because whatever decisions Ken Holland and the staff are going to make the rest of this way for this season is going to have an impact on the future of this franchise too. That whoever's going to be looking over this franchise moving forward, whoever's going to be steering the ship moving forward from that position, they should probably have a say in how things are going to get done. So I would really like to hope that Jeff Jackson and the Oilers are really out there trying to figure out who that next GM is. And, I'm not running the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know if people want me to be running the Edmonton Oilers. But if I was Daryl Cates, I would be saying, by the end of this calendar year, there needs to be some sort of announcement of who's going to be the next general manager of this team. Because there does come a point. You just need to know who it is. Because the trade deadline is only going to be 2 months and a week away or something like that from the end of this calendar year. It's going to come up. And if Ken Holland's going to trade away a first, let's say, the first-round pick that new GM is going to have to deal with, well, shouldn't they get a say in whether they're going to use it or not, or whether they want it or not, or what they're going to get in return for that? If we know that Ken Holland's not going to be back next season, I do think there comes to be a point where, yes, you just got to go get it done. And it doesn't even have to be a knock to Ken Holland. You could just say that we're ready to move on to a different direction. He's going to stick around. But, what did the Preds do last year? They announced Barry Trotz taking over for David Poile. Was that right before the deadline?
Yeah, it was later in the season.
And he was able to just learn and grow from there to push forward. So, and kind of learn under Dave Poile too. So have that transition period where it's like, yeah, we're going to bring this guy on. Ken Holland's still the GM. You could say that, but we're transitioning to general manager X, and they're going to, learn under him about what's going on in the organization. Ken's going to fill him in on everything he needs to know about this organization, and then he's going to take over. So that's still the thing I want for the Edmonton Oilers moving forward, something that just needs to get done. I don't care if the Oilers go rattle off 5 in a row right away here even. I still think that is the number one thing this team needs to figure out. Let's jump into the nasty chat here quickly. Before we'll hear from Connor McDavid and Ryan McLeod momentarily here. Penner's Pancakes, loving the stash as well. Look at that stash coming in. Beauty. Huncho saying, my gut tells me JJ is going to help manage with Brad Holland. Gil, Coffey didn't want to be a coach, and now he's a coach. Are we sure it matters that Gagne doesn't want to be the GM? LOL. Well, he's not in the organization right now, so it's a little tough to force his hand, I guess, on that one. The Wolf, hey, did you guys see Campbell asked to come back down to did you guys see who Campbell asked to come down to Bakersfield to help him? It was Manny Legacy. Yes, saw that as well. That was so Elliot Friedman yesterday said that Jack Campbell asked for Legacy to come down. That was the first I heard of that. It was late last week we heard that Legacy was down with Campbell coaching him, but that was the first time we heard that it was because Jack Campbell asked for it. Hey, if there's someone that he thinks that can help him, and that's Manny Legacy, I'm all for something like that. If he's a guy that can help turn around Jack Campbell's season and career, I think everyone's in favor of that, and you do what you need to do. So if he sits there and says, yes, we need Manny Legacy, even though, I think Oilers, at least my memory of Manny Legacy, it's 06 Game 6 when Ales Hemsky scores on him, right? It's the Oilers got past the Red Wings. Legacy was in net, so that's where I go with Legacy initially. But, hey, look, he was an NHL goaltender, and if Jack Campbell thinks that guy can help, I hope it wasn't Ken Holland planting the seed in Jack Campbell's mind that, Detroit Red Wing days type thing. But, if that's what's going to help Jack Campbell, that's what's going to help Jack Campbell. Is that Connor McDavid ready to go?
Yes, it is.
Let's now hear from the captain of the Edmonton Oilers. They had an avail. This is from yesterday as they got back from Washington, getting set for tonight's game against the Ducks. Here's the captain of the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid.
One of the themes of the season is when you've had a nice win, just to keep building on it. What were some of the key elements of yesterday that you want to take forward here?
Well, I thought it was a simple game. I thought we did a lot of things that aren't overly hard really well, and we got to continue that. We got out to a good start. We've gotten off to good starts, but we were able to find a way to limit their chances. And
how good a forechecking team can this team be when you play in a straight line?
Yeah, it's definitely a big strength of our group that we need to rely on more. Being a little bit more predictable through the middle. putting pucks in and letting our forecheck go to work is something that's good for us.
I know it was frustrating because you guys were close in some of those games and just a mistake here, mistake there, but to be able to put it all together in that fourth game, how big was it just for this group to get over that hump in a sense?
Yeah, it felt good. I thought it was our best 60, throughout the course of our season here. I thought it was our best game and something that we can build on.
It looked like everything was going for you guys. You had the goaltending, the power play, 5-on-5, like everything.
I agree with you. I thought the goal, Stu played well. I thought our special teams were great. 5-on-5, we were able to limit their chances and find a way to get a couple of our own. So, it's good to put it all together.
Well, it seems like you simplified the game a little bit too. Like, just, I know it's cliche. Get the pucks in deep, play them, make the safe play.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, like I said earlier, I thought it was a simple game. We, like you said, we played in straight lines. We were a little bit more predictable to each other. Kind of just advancing the puck and putting it in their zone and letting our forecheck go to work. I thought it's a pretty simple recipe, and like I said, one that we can roll over.
Did you kind of see this coming, like the start of the first two games and the finish of the third game? Did you kind of see it building? And maybe that's reason to believe it's more sustainable this time because it was kind of building.
Yeah, we felt like our game was close, throughout this stretch. Just couldn't put it all together and for long enough. And like I said, it felt good to put it all together for a full 60.
This team's best defense is a good offense. You got control of the puck, you got the puck in the other end. It's kind of the key to the longevity of a sustained tournament.
I would say every team is best when they have the puck. There's not a lot of teams that absorb pressure consistently and do that really, really well. So anytime you can have the puck and apply a little bit of pressure off the ice and force free breakouts or easy kind of transitions, that's always a good thing.
This is a little bit off topic, but the kid coming in from Anaheim, Leo Carlson, the high pick, when Stamkos was drafted, we gave him some games off and let him work on kind of off-ice stuff. They're attempting to do that with Anaheim. When you came in, was it like full steam ahead, you're going to play? Unfortunately, I know you were injured, but was there ever any talk about some off-ice stuff or taking games to work on other stuff, or it was
no, not at all. I wasn't aware that that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're trying to kind of build him up. I think off-ice as well, so that he's not always like playing all the time.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a daunting schedule. It's a lot to ask, especially as a young kid. It's a different approach, and hopefully one that works out well for him.
We'll hear from Ryan McLeod right away here, as well as he spoke. It was Ryan McLeod, right? Yeah, Ryan McLeod. He spoke earlier today before tonight's game. But it's kind of frustrating a little bit. But right in the first answer that Connor had there, he talked about Friday's game against the Capitals and the success, and he just said it. We kept things simple. And it's frustrating because it's like when things are when you're not having the great success right now, make it simple. Because you're good enough as a hockey team to just beat most teams, but simplified. And now how many times, I know Tommy has gone off on it a few times this season here on Oil Stream pre- and post-game shows, and they look for that extra pass or two. They just look to be a little extra too creative, as opposed to, no, just put the puck on the net. Skate hard to the net. Try to score crashing the net. Yes, just when things aren't going well, go simplify things. And to be game 19 of the season for them to do that finally, kind of, it's like, well, why didn't you do that through 18 games prior? We all knew that. We all been saying that. How have you guys not been able to realize that or do that? But to me, that's the one there. It's great that they know it, and maybe it's great that they've now maybe figured that out. But it's also one, where was this earlier? Because it's not that hard to figure out.
No, this it should. I don't get it. This team really like it should be a team where it just can capitalize off other teams' mistakes. They sit back. They have the pieces to do that, right? Like this team, when Connor has the puck, like there's no other player you want with the puck, right? So
there's not many that can defend him.
No, exactly. So it's one thing, and it's just cheating offense. And when they cheat offense, it's not simple hockey. They're always going for goals. They're gunning for goals. The goals will come. If they just play strong, steady defense, the opposition's gonna fumble the puck. It's as simple as that. They're gonna have to do things. They're gonna have to put them out of their comfort zone and try creating new passes and all that. But the Oilers are always just gunning for an extra this, an extra that. And so, yeah, that leads to odd man rushes. It leads to so many just breakdowns in their own end. And, it's not that hard. It shouldn't be. So, I 100% agree with you, Matty.
Yeah, like when you're struggling offensively and you struggle mightily defensively, maybe focus on the defensive game and pick your moments to try to, that's where you go try to win the 2-1 hockey game at that point. Make sure the puck doesn't go in the back of your net because you're not being able to score and you're struggling. When this team's at their best and we know that they can score, then yeah, you could cheat a little bit more and try things a little bit more because you also know that you can outscore a lot of other teams.
Yes.
But when you're not having that success offensively right now, like the Oilers haven't had all year, focus on the defense and play that counterattack. It's almost a soccer term there, but I'll play it for, as you said, Trev, where they'll make their mistake. Make sure you have that complete sound team defense.
Yeah.
And then they're going to make a mistake. You go the other way, you capitalize, and you score the goal. So, or you try to, but then it's just get the puck on the net. And by the way, with Connor, he looked healthiest that we've seen him in a while. I guess he will. I don't know if he is officially healthy now, right? I don't think we'll ever really know for something. But Friday's game looked more like, oh boy, that's Connor again. That's Connor flying around again.
Yeah, like night and day difference. I don't know. We've been discussing it all season long. He clearly has something. Something's bothering him. But previously, he wasn't given any space to skate, whether it was breaking out in his own end or if he was just in the offensive zone. Teams were just, this is what I was kind of talking to some friends about it. Like maybe just teams are learning how to defend him because when he had the puck, there was several guys on him like that. He couldn't generate anything, and it was crazy. But like you said, the game in Washington, he was finding he had so much more space, and that's what we've been so used to seeing for the last 9 seasons, right? That was Connor of old, and it was a sight for sore eyes. Like he was just buzzing out there. And even he was a little too passive, like Connor of last year. He would have been shooting a little bit more, I feel like, on a lot of those plays. But that being said, he's trying to get his teammates going as well, right? He's not going. At least he gets an apple. He can get the players going. So I guess I kind of see what he's doing there. But yeah, it was night and day difference. It was so good to see. On the power play really is at its best when Connor is kind of just cycling throughout the whole thing, and it's like a blender. The whole opposition, they don't know what they're doing when he starts skating, and then it just kind of throws everything off. And when the power play is stagnant for the Oilers, so are their results. They're not getting them. So it's essential for the Oilers power play to have Connor just skating, and that's what he was doing. It was night and day. It was so good to see. We'll
get to Ryan McLeod momentarily here. Tango and the Nasty Chat. We brought this up at the start of pregame very quickly, but asking why is this game so late? It's Sunday. Ryan McLennan, sorry. He says can't compete with Sunday Night Football. Maybe I honestly don't know why this game is at this time. I don't think there should ever be a Sunday game that's played after 5 o'clock. Like that should be the soonest. It's a work day for people the next day. I honestly, I really don't know. We had this happen a few years ago where the Oilers were playing a bunch of 8 o'clocks on Sundays. I don't get it. I don't know why. I don't think it has, because Sunday Night Football is happening right now. So, you are competing with them still. Even that kickoff is 6:20 between the Chargers and the Ravens tonight. Oilers is at 7. Like, I don't know. You're still competing, so it really doesn't make sense. Matt Kassian's going to be ready to go momentarily, but first, let's hear from Ryan McLeod of the Edmonton Oilers. He spoke to the media earlier this morning.
Maybe a continued search for, obviously you want wins, but also maybe just a little bit of consistency in how the team is playing. How close do you feel you are to making those steps?
I think we're getting really close. I think every day we're trying to build something. It's not it's not going to be a switch we turn on overnight, but I think it's just a continuous build of doing the right thing every night, and I think we're on the right pace.
It seems like if you guys maybe focus on some of the little things, you are a pretty good forechecking team. You've proven that the last couple of years too.
Yeah, I think we have the pieces that we're going to score. We should do a better job as a group and defend and just start playing the right way. And I think the coach has put in a really good plan to kind of start doing that. So I think everyone's super motivated to take that next step.
Not the easiest road trip, but where's the headspace at now that you're returning home after that?
Hope everyone's really positive. I think it's we have a great chance ahead of us. We got a bunch of home games, and that should be good. Hopefully, we can get some points back here and get back in the race.
There was Ryan McLeod. This is the Oil Stream pregame show. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev with you here. I'm in for Tom Gazzola tonight, Tuesday and Thursday as Tommy's wrapping up Bozone Live Season 4. So I've got the pregame show covered for you. Dustin Nielsen, he'll have the postgame show for you tonight, Tuesday and Thursday as well. And he's always gets fired up. It was funny on the game against the Hurricanes last week. He said, Tommy's like, hey, can you jump on quickly? And Dustin's like, yeah, I'll do like 10 minutes. I got to go, though. Like, I'll do 10 minutes. And like 25 minutes later, are we having issues with the mic, which was perfect because I'm like, hey, Dustin, you can now leave. Like, we've got DVD sitting here ready to jump on, too. And he just gets going. And he doesn't, as I mentioned earlier in the pregame show, he's never done an Oilers pre-postgame show, even at 1260 days. So I know he's going to be really excited for the postgame show. No matter what happens tonight, win or lose, him and YouTube Trev will have you covered. Oilers Ducks coming up down at Rogers Place, 7 o'clock. Puck drop should be just after 7 o'clock as the Oilers right now on the season. This is going to be their 20th game. They're 6-12-1. The Ducks 9-11, though the Ducks, they have lost 5 straight games. The Ducks sitting just ahead of the Edmonton Oilers in points as well, 5 points up, but the Oilers do have a game in hand on those Ducks. And now let's bring in the game analyst of the Oil Stream pregame show and pre- and postgame show. It is Matt Kassian, and we will get to game changers momentarily. But Cass, it's good talking to you. I don't know if I've ever actually fully interviewed you or been on air with you at the same time.
Well, I think you've been behind the behind the mic anyways.
I've been
you're behind the glass, but not with you running the show. Not with you running the show. So this is great, and I'd like to tell you in person and live so everyone can hear. I thoroughly, I think, supported your decision as commissioner. I know there's the calls of solidarity and all of that, but after offering, because I offered my independent arbitration services to say, hey, if you guys need a resolution, like I can be a neutral third party. And after they shut me out on that, I was like, well, they obviously don't care. So I think you were fully justified in your right as commissioner. They hired you for a reason. They had you there for a reason, and they didn't let you do your job. So I'm fully Team Iwanyk on that one. And as I think I said in the EST group text, I'm fully on board for starting our own draft league if we have to.
We'll bring YouTube Trev on. He could just make some picks. I love it. I appreciate the Matt standing alongside a Matt. I will point out that in the text chat that got leaked, the very own Dustin Nielsen said, before I could say anything, after Jay Milne threw out the question, the first 2 words that Dusty wrote in that text was "Commission's call."
Yep.
And so I made a call, and they didn't like it. And also Northside Sandwich did jump into the nest. The Paris Jewelers inbox earlier saying, unpopular take. Now that I've listened to this Saturday Night Live draft several times, I think Matthew was right. So I appreciate people standing behind me. I stand behind my decisions.
It was a good decision. I think it was the right decision.
Well,
I think it was the right decision. Yep.
It wasn't supposed to be a draft of Will Ferrell, Chris Farley, and Norm Macdonald.
Right.
You needed
to mix it up. Yep. You needed to go deep. You needed to find extra. You had to find the deep picks, right? The deep picks and the good value. So I totally support you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's good having someone like you behind me because now I know, hey, I did the right thing. I was doing the right thing. But now, weight off my shoulder. I just get to enjoy life, go sip some drinks wherever I want, and no pressure anymore. So good luck to whoever is the next commissioner. Let's get into this Oiler game. We're talking about this Oilers team. Like I said, we'll get to game changers momentarily here. But let's quickly just go back to Friday's win against the Capitals. What did you see from this Oilers team on Friday that we haven't, and you haven't really seen for the majority of this season?
No multiple shift let-ups. No multiple shift let-ups. Like you want to talk about a complete 60 minutes? They played finally a complete 60 minutes where there were some mistakes, as there always are. You did get some good goaltending that helped with a few of those mistakes. Now those mostly happen when you're already up 2 or 3 goals, which is okay. But Maddie, we didn't see those big momentum shifts. They score goals and they kept scoring goals. Like they didn't let the pushback happen. Like Washington wasn't able to eat their way back into the game. And if we look like at the Florida and the Tampa games in particular, Edmonton just let those teams back into the game. And there were teams that were playing well and teams that are good teams. And they made enough big mistakes in critical moments, the shift or two after they scored a goal to get the momentum, and they let the teams back into it. And against Washington, they didn't do that. They kept their foot on the gas. They continued to play fast. They continued to play simple. Like they weren't trying to overextend themselves when they had the lead, and then they let the power play do the work towards the end of the game. So it was a complete 60 minutes, and that is just something we really haven't seen all year. Like that is the first time we could see from beginning to end they were the better team the entire game, not just for 40 minutes, not just for 20 minutes, not just for 10 minutes, but for a full 60.
Like it wasn't the greatest road trip still for the Edmonton Oilers. That was their only win. They had 3 losses. But the most recent game is the one we're going to look at mostly. Now, they still have a huge hill to climb to get back into the playoffs, but there's still a lot of hockey to be played to do it. It's right now 8 points out of a playoff spot, so it's not this daunting task. Now, maybe the Pacific Division might be, but a wild card spot is still there. For you, how many straight games do you need to see the Oilers playing like that for you to feel like the Oilers are back? It can't be after just one, but how many more games do you need to see this in a row till you could kind of feel like, okay, the Oilers, they might be back?
Yep, I need to see 5 games in a row, Maddie, and not necessarily 5 wins, mind you. That doesn't mean 5 wins, but 5 games in a row where they play a complete game. And where we don't see a repetition or a regression back into how they've been for most of the season. If they can come out and do what they did against Washington and they can string that for 5 games, I might say there's a chance this team has to go here. Because you're going to, again, ideally you win all of them. Mm-hmm. Ideally you string 5 straight together. Sometimes it doesn't happen. You're still, playing teams that are playing you, and sometimes they do good things and they make good plays, and sometimes teams beat you. But I'd like to see 5 games. Maddie, give me 5 straight games of the type of commitment and the type of effort that we saw against Washington. If they do that, my heart will probably be full of at least a little bit of hope that they can claw back into a wild card position.
What's your confidence level that Friday was kind of a turning point in the season for this team, maybe?
Ask me in an hour.
Okay.
After I've seen the first 10 minutes of the first period, maybe, and it might build. It's not high. It's not high because it's what does the old cliche saying go? Like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Is that it? Fool me 3 times. I can't remember what there's the movie line like the fool me 3 times. I can't remember what it is, but it kind of feels like that, right? Where we've seen them have these little spurts, and they always bring us this hope. Because we all are desperate for them to make that wild card position or to be in the playoffs, and we're desperate for them to win a Stanley Cup. And so we cling to these little things that we see, and we cling to these moments, and we jump on board with them. Now, what I will say is that what makes Washington different than the other games that we've seen is that they did it in a way that was a full 60 minutes, right? So they played that full 60. It wasn't like they just had 20 good minutes and won a hockey game. Like let's say they won against Carolina. Now, maybe I guess with how much they were down, that would have been a galvanizing moment. So maybe not a good example, but it just they won differently than they have all year. And to me, that is it's a sign for hope. But that hope could be snuffed out very, very quickly. So I kind of want to feel this one out. I'm not jumping back on the bandwagon quite yet.
Well, like we were talking about earlier in the pregame, it's like the Nashville game, 3rd game of the season. They came out, they played really well, and then you think, okay, they're back. This is the team that we're going to see. Got past those 2 bad games against Vancouver and what happened against Philly, it wasn't a strong game at all. Let's get into game changers now. Brought to you by Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Damon Bunting is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among RE/MAX Elites. He and his team would love to help you find the right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at DamonBunting Real Estate. We had him on the Hangouts a few weeks ago, and he was just so much fun. And apparently has this amazing video game collection or like arcade game collection or something that I now feel like I have to go find a way to convince him to let me see. But have you seen this video games that he has or everything?
I haven't officially seen it, which is actually too bad. I wasn't aware. He's never told me that he's had that, and I've been to his house multiple times. So I'm gonna have to
Just have to wander his house next time.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm going over there again for the Super Bowl whenever that happens. We'll probably do the Big Donaire night there too. I'll see if I can score you guys an invite. I'm sure he'll throw it out there. Could be a fun time, but I might have to lean on him a little bit about this. I'll fire him a text and be like, dude, what the heck? I didn't know you had these sweet video games. So no, I didn't know that, but that's awesome. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, but like if you're at his house and he doesn't be like, hey, you want to go check out this arcade game I got or something like that's kind of like, what are we doing here, Damon?
Well, granted, it was, the last time I was at his house was for, I guess I was picking something up. But the time before that was for the pregame show. So it was, and then we were going somewhere afterwards. So it wasn't,
you didn't have time.
It wasn't like I didn't have time to sit there and hang out. So, and I guess that even the time before that was for the golf tournament. So I don't think we were running people inside the house to go play video games, but still.
We'll let Damon off the hook on this one. Yes.
Yep. We'll give him a pass.
Game changer number one, as you text me today, the Ducks suck.
The Ducks sucks. Yep. They do right now. It's kind of like I don't want to say polar opposite to the Oilers season because it's not like a polar opposite to the Oilers season yet, but probably a team that for the first chunk of the season was outperforming. They're playing better than expected. They were winning games that they probably shouldn't have won, maybe catching some teams off guard a little bit with their play, and they have started to come back down to earth here. They've dropped a whole bunch in a row now, including what I would say is a big win for Edmonton in that LA beating the Ducks on Friday. And, with the reason being is like, if you have your eyes set on that wild card spot, if you're picking someone to win that game, it's LA and LA gets the job done. And the Ducks are a little bit of a free fall here right now. It feels like, they've gone from being a very confident team playing well to a team that is now on the ropes a little bit. And for the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, it's, I guess, a good thing and a bad thing. It's good in that you have a team that also doesn't have a lot of confidence the last number of games. But the bad thing is it's almost like the wounded animal in a corner where they're going to look at this game, the Anaheim Ducks, and they're going to be saying, if we want to stay in this thing, this is a huge game. This is a huge game for both teams. It's a huge game. And you might get the best, despite how they've been playing, and they haven't been playing very well. You could get the absolute best from the Anaheim Ducks today. And for the Edmonton Oilers, you have to be prepared for that. I mean, you have to let that momentum carry over, which leads us right into game changer number two, which is Momo, a little bit more momentum. You got to keep that Mo going. The more momentum Movember as we honor YouTube Trev's beautiful mustache that he has right now. I was so happy to see that when he was up on the video. It was great. I love it. Trev, it's fantastic. So keep that bad boy going. But for the Oilers, I mean, and we talked about it a little bit already, and really this is the talk heading into this game for Edmonton is how do you keep that feeling and that play that you had against Washington into today? And to me, it's such a mindset thing. They can't go into this one thinking that the momentum is just automatically going to carry over. You have to force the issue. If you're the Edmonton Oilers, right from the start of the game, you have to carry the momentum with you. It's not going to do it itself. This isn't an automatic thing where it's just going to happen. We've seen too much expectations of, it's just going to happen from the start of the season. They have to go out and they have to force the issue right away. You want this momentum to carry for Edmonton Oilers, you have to come out of the gates, and you have to come out of the gates swinging. And you keep swinging until the buzzer ends at the end of the night. Not the first period, not the second period, the end of the night. You keep swinging, and you carry that momentum forward.
How do they do that? Like, what are you looking for to see if they're doing that tonight? Like, to start the game, is that, great offensive zone possession? Or what is it for you that it is, yes, they're doing what you want to see that you just said there?
Yeah, not forcing plays through the middle of the ice and playing fast, which is I know a little bit vague, but at the same time, when they're playing well, they're moving the puck to the forwards quickly, who are carrying the puck up the ice quickly. They're not trying to go across the neutral zone too often. They're not trying to go across the defensive zone too often. They're not trying to go across the ice on zone entries. Now, going across when you have the puck behind the net, that's a different thing. I think you do that often. That opens up the zone. They do that well when they have possession of the puck, but not forcing plays through the middle of the ice is going to be one of the biggest tells for me. Like if we see Leon, get the blue line, do a no look backhand cross ice, it gets picked off. Those are the types of plays early on that we don't want to see, because that's what's absolutely bit them when they have the puck. Now, when they don't have the puck, it's going to be, can they actually execute their system? Can they be, are the forwards going to be back to help the defensemen? Are you going to make sure that you have someone in front of the net? Are people going to be aware of where the danger is on the ice in the defensive zone? Doing those little things and really playing that north-south hockey, and then getting back to your net when it's needed, protecting the front, protecting the high slot when it's needed. That's going to be what does it. Because if they get to this, kind of flippant play of just hoping things happen offensively and trying to kind of maybe occasionally get the puck to the net without bodies there, not going to work. Not going to work. So for me, the biggest thing would be just that north-south style. So not just throwing pucks willy-nilly across the ice.
This is Game Changers presented by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite, Matt Iwanyk, Matt Kassian with you here in the Oilers Stream pregame show. Oilers Ducks coming up just after 7 o'clock down at Rogers Place. And let's get to Game Changers number 3. You talked about it a little bit earlier in one of your answers, the Ducks looking at this as a huge game. This is a huge game when it comes to the standings.
Absolutely massive when it comes to the standings. I mean, it's a 4-point night, and this is kind of the 4-pointer. I mean, this is what's the I mean, we say it all the time, and it's way too early to be saying this, but playoff implications, right? Mm-hmm. Playoff implications. We're like 20 games into the season, and we have a game that has major playoff implications. I mean, this is all conference games at this point are massive, absolutely massive. Pacific Division games even more so. And heading into this one, it's like this is it's not the season if you lose this game, but it kind of feels like it is. Like in some ways, it kind of feels like it is. And for the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, again, not squeezing the sticks mentality, but the mentality of going out and establishing yourself as a good team, establishing yourself as a contender, establishing yourself as a team that, when teams are down and they're struggling and they don't have momentum, we're going to go out and we're going to step on some necks here. Like we are going to absolutely, when they're down, we're kicking them. When they're not feeling it, we don't care how the other team feels. We don't care how they're playing. We're going to go out and we're going to do whatever we have to win this hockey game. And we're going to give other teams reasons to quit. We're not going to let them back in. We're not going to give, just gift goals to the other team. That mentality is so huge. And it's something that they've lacked all year. Again, we saw a little bit of it against Washington, but we haven't seen it. We saw it last year. We haven't seen it this year. And in a game that's as big as this one against, the Anaheim Ducks, who you're chasing in the standings, the 4 points is just absolutely massive. I mean, you claw just a little bit closer with that. So it's a massive night. And I know there's pressure there, and I know they'll be feeling that pressure. And to a certain extent, you want them to not be overly thinking about it, but you have to be cognizant of what this game means with the effort that you put forth and the willpower you put forth. And Maddie, we will see what we get with that. We will see what we get. I'm hopeful, but we have to see, can they carry it forward? Can they come out and can they take 4 points from the Anaheim Ducks?
This is only game 20. We're talking playoff implications already. Let's fast forward and say the Oilers make the playoffs when all is said and done. Is this a good thing that they're having to play playoff hockey as of November 26th?
No.
Okay. No.
No. How could it be? I mean, like,
at least you're playoff ready, I guess. Like you haven't had, the lull where you're looking at it and like, we don't have to worry about this. We're in the playoffs. You have to be playing playoff hockey from now, and you're kind of ready to go for playoffs.
The rest of the way. But what I would have rather seen, which I think everyone would have rather seen, I know you would have rather seen, is them playing that playoff ready hockey from day one.
Okay.
From game one. From the start of the season, they should have been playing playoff. I mean, if it's Stanley Cup or bust, well, that means you're playing with playoff type intensity. Now, knowing there's going to be lulls, I don't fully expect the team to be at that level the entirety of the season in terms of what you're putting your body through it and mentally. But I mean, that's what we've wanted to see from the start of the season. So if we see that, if they make the playoffs and we see that, I mean, there could be some positive things, because really that means that they've played really good hockey the rest of the way. Like if they make the playoffs, if they become a playoff team or a wild card team, that if we look at the standings today, we would have to assume that means they've played really good hockey. So
Yep.
in some ways, that means they'd be carrying momentum in, and that's a good thing to have that positive momentum. But I would have rather had that positive momentum, knowing we're going to most likely be a playoff team. We just have to keep this thing rolling. I think puts you in a different mentality where you're not forced to play playoff hockey. Now, maybe I'm wrong. That's a personal opinion, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I would have rather just seen them playing it from the start. But I mean, if they make the playoffs from now, that probably means they've been playing pretty good, which could bode well heading into the playoffs.
Matt, appreciate the chat. Thanks for being in my corner with the Saturday Night Live draft. It's nice, knowing that there's some people out there. You and Dusty, you guys got post game. You're with him later tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll be sure to let him know my thoughts as well, just on that. But I really don't like those guys anyways. They're not here right now, so I can say it. They're probably not listening. Probably.
Thanks, Matt. Enjoy the hockey game.
Thanks, I will.
There's Matt Kassian. That was Game Changers presented by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram page at Damon Bunting Real Estate. It's really funny to be looking at 4-point games in November, but that's where we're at. And I don't know. I won't look at this straight up like the San Jose Sharks game, where there's a team that was just down. They just stayed down, and the Oilers couldn't find a way to beat the Sharks. But as Cass is pointing out, this is a Duck team that's free falling. This is a Duck team that's wounded, no pun intended. They've lost 5 straight. This is your chance to make up some ground in the division. This is your chance to, in the playoff race, this is your chance to show that you're back. This is a chance to show that you're carrying on the momentum. And we'll see if the Edmonton Oilers can do that tonight. History of this season says they won't. But recency bias shows that this team maybe figured it out. Maybe after that Washington game, we'll find out coming up down at Rogers Place. Puck drop just after 7:00. This is the Oil Stream pregame show. We will get to Chris Noblock right away. We'll get to him in a bit. But Trev, you could get your shot in there actually first, because this isn't an Oilers discussion that I'm going to go into, but I didn't have enough time to get to it with Cass there. But I want to get your take on this too, Trev. The Jacob Trouba, I don't know what we're going to call that. Baseball swing, gets the – did you see that?
On Trent Frederick?
Yes.
Yeah. That was –
fine of $5,000. Now, I know that's max of CBA, but the fact that was only a fine.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I thought that was way worse than what Pietrangelo did to Draisaitl in the playoffs. And maybe it's just because it was the playoffs or whatever. But yeah, man, like that was super dirty. Like $5,000, like that's nothing. That's nothing, especially to those guys, right? Like I was very blown away by that. I think they definitely, as per usual, they kind of dropped the ball. I thought it was ridiculous. Like that could have been so bad, man. It really could have. And luckily, I don't think like Trent. I'm pretty sure he's fine, right? Like I don't think he got injured from it.
Luckily,
yeah.
And
but
that's
like,
the problem with hockey, though, is they only suspend, it seems, too much on
whether the fact you get injured or
yes,
yeah.
He took his stick and swung it at a guy's head.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, you're thinking that could be double digits penalty or suspension. Yeah. And he only gets a fine. They didn't even give him 1 game.
Yeah.
Like, that's, to me, is just completely wild. Like, Steve Dangle had a great tweet on it going, Trouba swung his stick and whacked Frederick in the head. But if you look at it the other angle, he swung his stick and whacked Frederick in the head.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you could look at that play and not think, yeah, no, that's not allowed in this game. You're sitting for a bit.
Yeah.
I was floored today when I saw that it was just going to be a fine.
Yeah. I mean, you're not alone. It's pathetic. I don't know. As far as Trouba goes, I don't know what his history is for suspensions or anything like that. Obviously, huge hitter, and he's their captain, but I mean, that's not leading by example. It's a low blow. It's a cheap shot. I don't know why he did it, man. I don't get it.
Well, it's
and a blowout win too, right? Like, weren't they not? Didn't they win that game?
I'd have to go double check on that.
Actually.
But it's just also one, like, I don't even think that history matters.
No.
I don't care if he's a repeat or not. Like, he could you could not just take your stick and swing it at a guy's head.
Yeah.
And that right there should have been a suspension. But it's utterly stunning that was just a fine for Jacob Trouba by the NHL today. And again, like, I understand why it's $5,000 because that's CBA related, so he can only get the $5,000. But, like, to me, I figured it'd be disgusting while he only got 5 games when he should have got 10 or something like that. The fact that we're saying he's not even sitting for a game is just utterly baffling.
Yeah.
And George Peros, like, Harvard or something? He's Ivy League school educated. Like,
Yeah.
how do you not sit there and yourself and go, this is not right for the game.
No,
this
it's
is not hockey, and do something about it. So I was just completely, I don't even think I could say shocked by it, but because it's the NHL.
Yeah,
like,
they're just
should I be surprised? But that it wasn't one. Like, how hard is it to say one game?
Yeah.
Who on the Rangers is going to sit there and be like, yeah, Trouba got 1 game. Okay, yeah, that's not right. They're going to appeal it. Like, no, I think they would have been like, yeah, no, he got off light on that one.
Yeah.
So.
No, and like, as far as speculation goes, like, obviously I don't want to dive too much into it, but just regarding earlier in the season, the whole Shane Pinto thing with, like, the whole, the betting or whatever he was doing.
Yes.
41 games for that. And it's like where Jacob Trouba just literally goes down so hard, and $5,000. I like, personally, if I'm the commish, I'd be like, wait, like, it looks so wrong. Like, I'd way rather have the bigger suspension going to Trouba than Shane Pinto, but just my thoughts.
You don't want to advocate for someone to lose their job or anything like that, but at some point I think the NHL does have to look at Department of Player Safety and go, do we have the right people running it?
Yeah.
Or do we have to maybe look at
Just
changes
no
to get it back?
consistencies.
Like, no consistencies. Everyone looks at it and is just shaking their head, and it hasn't been good since the days of Brendan Shanahan and him posting those videos that started coming out. So Tango saying in the nasty chat, when I first saw it, I thought Trouba was gone for at least 2 games. And yeah, like, any sort of games, I think people would have been fine. The fact that there wasn't even, like, I think even Rangers fans are sitting there going, how did he not get suspended? Oilers, Ducks coming up. This is the Oil Stream, a pregame show. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube, Trev with you here. You can get in the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999, or you can get into the nasty chat on YouTube. But right now, we'll hear from the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Chris Noblock. This was his avail he had with the media yesterday as the Oilers came back from their road trip and their big win against Washington on Friday.
From the post-game comments and the comments in the room today that you guys played a very simple game yesterday after perhaps not doing so at other times. So I guess that begs the question, how difficult is it to play a simple game over and over again?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult because the players are always wanting to do more, and that's why they got here. That's why they're elite athletes, is because they were always doing more, and but often more complicates things and makes the game a little more difficult. So it's always a balancing act on how much just simplifying your game, and when you, I don't know, try and complicate it, it just gets ugly. Not only it gets ugly for the individual itself, but more importantly, the guys around him, not sure what he's going to be doing, and the game just gets slower. And the game's about simplicity, speed. That's ultimately what the game is about 90% of the time, is just winning your race, winning your battle, making your first pass over and over again. And we're trying to get that as much as possible.
The last couple of days, there was a lot of talk, I guess, in the media and fans anyway, about that American Thanksgiving. Most teams that are in then usually are in at the end of the year. Are you a standings watcher? Do you look and say, okay, guys, that's the road we got to cover, or do you keep it much smaller than that?
Much smaller right now. We just started some goal setting. We just put up a sheet up in our dressing room the other day about an 8-game segment and what we need to do, and we look long run. We can't think about what's going to happen, where we're going to be in game 82. We just got to look at where we are right now, and if you look long term, it just looks too daunting. It's too big of a task. You look at it right now and you just think about winning your next game. We can do that. Well, let's get into our next game. We can win that, and hopefully we can put enough stretches that by the end of the year we're looking to a positive aspect that we're going to make the playoffs.
So you look to maybe the starts of the first two games of the road trip and the way the third game finished. Did you kind of see this thing building a little bit, and that's what sort of culminated in Washington, and maybe that's the reason it might be more sustainable this time than previous times when they had good games and then faded?
I don't know. I hope so. I really hope that we've got this solved, but I've been coaching long enough to know that it's not that simple, and you see your team make strides, and you make 2 steps forward and you take 1 backwards, and they're not all going to be great games. I think we were ready to play against Washington, yes. There's going to be other tests, whether we're tests on us where we're tired or we just don't have it, or the opposition's a little bit better, or whatever it is. But we're trying to get more of what we had in that Washington game.
This team's calling card has always been offense and the power play, and sometimes maybe it helped them outscore their mistakes a little bit, or there's fewer mistakes when the puck's in the offensive zone. Is maybe some of the ails that have been facing this team kind of be traced back to the offense and the power play hadn't been going the way it normally does?
Well, absolutely. You've got the scoring leaders last year, 1 and 2, and the way they scored, and the identity is that they can score. But I think this team often gets not enough credit of how well they defended last year. Their goals against was good, and it wasn't like it was all offense last year. So, but I think right now there's obviously a lot of frustration and feeling that every player's got to do more on their part. And usually when a player thinks about how can I do more, I don't think there's many players that think I'm going to do more by blocking more shots. I'm going to break up more. I'm not going to pinch less, or, usually when they're thinking about they're going to be doing more, they're thinking about offense. They're going to score more goals. They're going to make more plays. What are they going to do with the puck? And right now we want the guys to do more defensively, make more plays, get on the defensive side, do those things, and ultimately that's going to make our team better.
Any update on Evander Kane? We saw the latest
Maintenance day, and we expect he'll be playing tomorrow.
Hi, Chris. Just changing the subject. I think, Tuesday you guys hear Hockey Fights Cancer Day. James Hamlin scored his first goal, which is pretty emotional to begin with. But then obviously he did the tribute to his mother who passed away. I just want to thought, how did that reverberate around the room, and seeing a guy like that has battled for so long to get here, score that goal, and then the tribute to his mother?
Well, I'm probably not the best person to ask because I came in here later and didn't know the whole story until after the game, or didn't understand how significant that goal was at that moment. So obviously, anytime a player scores his first NHL goal, it's exciting. But it's really heartwarming when you hear the whole story. And I think as a team collectively, the staff, the players, it's inspiring to see Hammy, battle, work hard to get into the NHL and contribute regularly like he has been doing. But then also, that's hard enough as it is, but also the adversity he's had with losing his mother. So, I think a lot of guys have a lot of respect for him.
Chris, real quick, we saw that the drill Mark Stewart got the paint, and can you just explain sort of what that was, I guess, for someone like me watching it?
Just passing, checking, scoring drill. I think whether you're playing as a young kid, professional hockey, college hockey, whatever, it's good to feel pressure and make plays. And there's a lot of games that you can do that. And, you know, in the NHL, you have to balance on the type of drills you do. And one is how much skating you do, how much are you up and down the ice. Our last practice when we were in Washington, I thought we had a pretty hard practice, and I liked it, but I wish we could do that all the time. But with the way the schedule is, we have to back off and do some other things. And right now, almost most of our practice so far, we've always had some small area game where players are feeling some confrontation, and they have to make some plays. And that one was just, you know, it's a 2v2 with an extra 4 guys on the perimeter available for support, passing, and ultimately all those games come down to is just making plays under pressure.
And there's the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Chris Noblock, speaking to the media. The Edmonton Oilers getting set to take on the Ducks momentarily down at Rogers Place. Puck drop about 7 or so as the Oilers take on this Ducks team. Oilers looking to make up some ground in the West, 5 points behind the Ducks. So as Cass was talking about during Game Changers, a 4-point night already. We're talking about those. And it's coming up at the end of November when we are having that discussion. I haven't seen anything in terms of John Gibson being the starter or not for the Ducks tonight. It was unconfirmed that he would be starting. I'm just trying to, I don't know if they should be on the ice, or they should have been off the ice by now, but I'm not seeing anything that says he's not the starting goalie. So it looks like the goalies tonight will be John Gibson against Stuart Skinner. Gibson does not have a great record against the Edmonton Oilers, 9-7-3 with a .903 save percentage. This season, he's 4-8 with a .914 save percentage and a 2.64 goals allowed average, while Stuart Skinner coming off that shutout on Friday, but this season he's 5-7-1 with a 3.37 goals allowed average and an .875 save percentage. Oilers lines projected for tonight will be McDavid in between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman, Draisaitl centering Kane and Brown, McLeod in between Fogle and Ryan, Hamblin centering Janmark and Ernie. Defensively, Nurse with CC, Ekholm with Bouchard, and Kulak is paired up with Desharnais. We'll jump momentarily into the nasty chat one last time. Momentarily here as we're about to wrap up the pregame show. But Trev, for tonight, what do you want to see from this Oilers team? What are you expecting we'll see from this Oilers team?
I really like their chances tonight. Yep. For the first time all season, really, to my memory, I don't know, I might be wrong, but the guys looked like they were having fun in Washington. Whether it was in the locker room after you see the photos of them, you know, they look like they're having a good time, but on the ice especially, after a goal, they were smiling, and that is something you haven't seen. You haven't seen much of at all. So here's hoping they start strong. That hasn't been a problem for them at all. Look, they're on home turf today, so that's their home ice, and that's going to be huge. Here's hoping they can just, you know, the crowd gets them going. They can start strong, and then just don't take your foot off the pedal. Just keep going. Don't cheat your chances. Play a solid 60. If you're up, the chances are, like, they don't have any lethal weapons. They really don't, at least not yet, right? We're talking about them. They're still kind of an up-and-coming team. So you shouldn't be cheating offense. Like, I know this team, they just want to score because they know they can. And I think it's not a good – it hurts them, right? When they're always thinking offense, it really hinders their game because they just cheat, right? So the goals will come. And they just need to simmer down. They get an early 2-goal lead, or, you know, or even if it's a 1-goal lead or whatever. Just keep playing your game. And this team they're not going to generate a heck of a whole lot. I can't imagine. But another thing as well is they're just so deflated where they were on this last road trip, where if the opposition was up or they score a goal, you look at the bench and you'd see Connor, he's just down in the dumps. Like, it's just 1 goal. There's still so much hockey left. You know this team can score. It's fine. And, like, that's one thing I'm really hoping the coaches are telling them. They shouldn't have to tell them. They know that there's a lot of hockey left. But I feel like it's just 1 goal, especially when under the circumstances. I don't know if it'll be like that tonight just because it is kind of, they did win their last game in convincing fashion. So I don't want to see them get down in the dumps if they drop the ball, they get scored on early. They can't. There's still lots of hockey left. They know that they're playing the Anaheim Ducks. The chances are going to come. Just don't get too don't play on your emotions. Just play hockey and just solid 60. But yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm looking.
Yeah, I want to be able to look at this game tonight and go, the Oilers finally were able to not overlook that opponent after that big game type thing, where they played that full 60. They kept it still simple, and they didn't overlook the Ducks. And they saw an opportunity where a team is not playing well right now. 5 straight losses, and they took advantage of them. They saw the blood in the water, and they went hunting. And so that's what I really hope we see from the Oilers. We'll wait and see. As Cass said, when I asked him, is that maybe the start of a turnaround, the Capitals game? He said, talk to me 10 minutes into that first period. We're going to see how this team plays once that puck is dropped. And to me, it is that first period that I really want to see what this team is. If they don't have that game right now, if they don't come out and we're sitting there going, what's going on here? Like, they're not really putting that full effort that we saw. This isn't the team that we saw against Washington. I'll be very disappointed in this team because they don't have room for error. They don't have that room to have those games still. That they've lost it. They've used them all up. They've used all those games up this season. They have to have just really good hockey the rest of the way, so we'll see what happens. Jumping in the nasty chat before we wrap things up. Travis saying the Ducks won't be sleeping like Washington was. Zedmo saying should be a fun game. Ducks have some young talent. Spency 5, Sensi. Oilers need a big fat dub tonight. Let's go. D. White, I have a feeling that tonight will be a good night for the Oilers. LFG and Jason and Leduc with a prediction that Skinner ends the season with a plus 900 save percentage. Book it. And based on where he is right now at 875, that would be a tall order to get over 900. That means he would have played some really good hockey the rest of the way for the Edmonton Oilers, which I think everyone would be looking forward to. Thanks for tuning in to the Oil Stream pregame show. I am Matt Iwanyk. He is YouTube Trev with that glorious mustache right there. Coming up once the game ends, it is the Oil Stream postgame show. I am not in for that one. YouTube Trev will be in, but it is Dustin Nielsen also on the postgame show tonight. You're not going to want to miss that. Win or lose, Dusty is on the post-game show. That's going to be must listen to and must watch, whether you're on EdmontonSportsTalk.com or tune in listening to us, or whether you're watching us on YouTube. You'll want to tune in for Dusty on the post-game show. Nice work tonight, Trev. On behalf of Trev, I'm Matt Iwanyk. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the hockey game tonight. Dusty's got the post-game show once it's over.